Swanson. Marlene Blackburn. Present. Barbara Thomas. Present.
There's no quorum, there's no meeting. Thanks for coming.
Betty Tilges.
Present.
Donna Fleming.
Present.
Brett Swanson.
Present.
Marlene Blackburn. Present. Barbara Thomas.
Present.
Mike Brown.
Present.
You have a quorum.
All right, please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there anyone that would like to offer an invitation at this time? The answer appears in the negative. All right, this is a special meeting, therefore no amendments to the agenda can be made. We need a motion to begin. As we know, we need a motion to adopt the agenda.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda. I'll second the motion.
All right, roll call vote.
Betty Tilges.
Yes.
Donna Fleming.
Yes.
Brett Swanson.
Yes.
Marlene Blackburn.
Yes.
Barbara Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
Okay. First item is bills. Before we begin bills, we're currently calling the treasurer's account. This is our bank at formerly American Bank. It's $51,106.45. That's $51,106.45. The transportation account has $58,057.99. All right. Our police. So now moving to the Marys County Bank, where we've separated our accounts and delineated properly where all the money's supposed to go. So the general has $9,426.31. Court has $1,039.13. Sewer had a leader.
Excuse me, Mayor, the treasurer's account, is that general revenue?
Yeah. That's a payroll. Oh, my bad. Okay, so we'll go back. So if you'll go back real quick, the treasurer's account, that is not just general. That is carryover. A lot of that is about 30,000 from what we receive from the county.
For real estate?
Yes. So we recently, this month, started using accounts at Marys County. And so
Okay.
these, let me make a correction. This is actually payroll. This is what we need to make a payroll. Police, this is for payroll. Again, sorry, to be clear. Police is $9,426.31. Court is $1,039.13. Sewer is $1,834.25. Street Department, $4,914.95. Water is $4,914.25, which is a total of $22,120.89. You add taxes to that. Taxes for this payroll period would be $4,825.46, for a total of $26,954.35. And it's divided up into these categories so that as the council decides on paying it, that they can be paid out of the property. All right. So far this month, the City of Dixon has received a total of $29,046.18. In general, it's made $2,271.04. Deposits, we've had 580, and someone moves in with their deposits, we pay water. And the court, $434.50. So with that being said, the bills that we have. So to answer your question, Barbara, this treasurer's account is the old general ledger account. All right, so for bills for insurance, we have $6,048.29. Sewer connection fees of $774.02. Quarterly sales tax of $1,540. For phones, $240. Corporate warehouse supply, $1,379.55. CNA surety bond for the Marshall County Clerk and Court Clerk, $300. Summit, which is our software used for water and courts, it's $4,554.36 for the renewal. And we have a past amount that we owe them of $1,300, so a total of $5,854.34. We owe our city attorney $8,967.50. That's for more than 1 month. And that's a total of $32,560.72. With that being said, are there any of these bills that anyone would like to see?
The insurance is the one that we still have the city's general liability and the maximum.
Yes. This insurance payment is actually for 2 months. And please note that this insurance is the workers' comp insurance. The general liability insurance is what's going to be due next month. That was estimated to be about $26,000.
So Mayor, if I'm understanding correctly, by the time we make payroll with our matching contribution on taxes, it'll be $26,954.35.
That's correct.
And then we have another $32,563.72 that's due and owing.
That's correct.
So that would total, if I'm calculating right, $57,518.07.
Yes. Yes, that's correct.
And we only have $51,000 in the account,
Yes, that's correct.
so we're $6,000.
In transportation, we do have $58,057.99.
But that's limited use, right?
Limited to street, yes. Transportation is also sometimes called the streets.
So when we take the 49 out of that account, we're still $1,500 short.
That's correct.
And that's not touching any old bills. This is just touching what is necessary right now in order for the city to function.
Correct. All right, so we have some of the bills here. We'd like to see them. Can we pass it down this way first?
discrepancy on here because on some of it says 4,554.36. Their invoice says 4,554.56.
56. Please, what's your discussion, so I can hear it?
We're adding and subtracting everything.
Okay.
So,
Can we get everyone to sign this stuff, please?
we're
Please take
still
the
short
cell phone
one.
outside. Just a second. Please take the cell phone outside.
So we're still short $1,500 in.
Some dollars, I didn't know.
Correct.
I'm not understanding the invoices here for corporate business systems. It says we owe $1379.55, and I show $165.34.
1 second.
A bunch added together.
Please silence all cell phones.
705, 250, 59, 62. I think this exceeds what we've got here. It far exceeds it. How is this calculated?
Can you explain how it's done? Who calculated it?
Yeah.
The total that is right here, the 1379.55 is what the gentleman that runs the company told us.
These are the individual policies.
I can see that.
So this
This is the actual total.
That's what I was saying, because I'm showing 1862.06.
It's not 1,300. On the second portion of Summit, OBO, and back is 1272.37.
I mean, the invoices of what we're seeing on the agenda are not making sense. So the figures aren't right. I mean, there was a total of 160 on UMA, 160.41, and then 39.95.
Right.
What's that, 39.95? Is that the most recent bill received on that?
That's adding on, each time they try to run the card that we bought the phones from with, they add the $39 on.
Each time you run the cards, what do you
Each
mean?
time they run the card.
So in other words, they're having money on the card and they've been running. Is that correct?
So it's like, no.
So it's like a non-sufficient funds type thing, I guess.
And that's the only way that they will take payments is if we get a prepaid card, one that you can repay.
And I don't see,
Can I ask a question?
I don't see UMA on here. I see phone $240,
That's UMA.
but it's showing $200.36 is what's owed on UMA.
And there's another one that says $39. And you just rounded it up.
I'm kind of baffled here. You said $39.50 for the charge for the card, and you pay the bill, it has to be a prepaid?
Please keep the side conversations down.
Is that what you're saying?
It has to be, yeah, a
Okay,
reloadable
so you're
card.
using a prepaid card to pay the bill, but they're charging you $39.50 to use the card.
Because the card that they bought, the first time they bought the phone was not a reloadable card. So we've been waiting for bills, which we did not know that they only take cards. They will not do checks or,
Do you have an option to get a card that is prepaid, that they will accept without that charge?
that is what this is for. If they
I feel like they charge you still.
My recommendation would be to pay the bills that are clear. Maybe more research.
Okay, so what you're explaining to me, Lou, is the 160.41, there was $39.95 added on that, which made it $200.36.
Right.
And then this other one of $39.95. And my calculation is $240.31 instead of $240. I mean, we have to be precise with these figures. I mean, we have to do a double check. I mean, it's no good when figures aren't right that's presented to the council.
And I'm not the one doing the figures.
Who all is doing figures? How many people?
Jesse and I both did.
Okay, there should be a checks and balance in place. That means when you do it, and Jesse should run a checks and balance off of what you're doing to ensure the accuracy. So are you telling me you do part and Jesse does the other part?
We both, yes.
Okay, that doesn't work. What you need to do is one needs to do it completely, then it needs to be turned over to the other to do a checks and balance to see if they in fact end with the same total. I'm not getting on your case, but I'm just telling you, there has to be, these have to be right. When they come before the council, and you've got two people there that can do a checks and balance.
Please keep the side conversations down.
Betty, I'm going to let you ask for the invoices.
So I'm just going to see what we want to pay.
Exactly right. And I think from now on, Mayor, I may make a recommendation that all invoices be attached with items that are on the agenda payable specifically.
That's a good recommendation. No one should be, actually, no one should be making votes on anything unless
We see the invoices,
that's absolutely true.
and it gives us an opportunity to review them for any type of calculation error.
In the past, they've been about why we work on it, right? So So what was the question, Betty?
I was just asking what we get from
And what was the answer?
Paper clips, folders, tape is what we used to get, we don't anymore.
So generally office supplies.
Yes.
What was the question, or any comment?
I said, I asked the ladies if they would like some of these to look at. I didn't get an answer yet.
One second, hold on, there's too much conversation about the table. Try to make it general conversation for everybody.
Oh, 300.
Fred, what are you saying?
Just verifying that we're doing straight out of transportation and then trying to add up to where we're at.
Okay. Just trying to keep all the conversation, general conversation, so everyone can hear, please.
Basically reduces the payroll line item. That would reduce to the 26,954.
Yeah, to this one,
Right.
after that.
Right.
Now, here's a question I'll pose. This tax, that includes lawyers' contribution as well. This is tax. On this, the payroll sheet, that includes lawyers' contribution as well.
Yes,
Okay, so the $4,825.46 is both tax and lawyers' contribution.
that's just the tax itself, everything else going into the.
Lawyers' contribution is already figured into payroll.
Correct.
Okay.
Mayor, I would also like to see the time sheets to accompany these payroll.
Trying to figure out.
So this, Eric's where this is for 2 weeks of payroll.
Right.
Are you willing to field questions from the audience at this break time?
I'm pretty sure that's the goal.
Yeah, one second.
Okay.
All right, yeah, go ahead, Jeff, what's your question?
Did we relieve anybody of duty or lay anybody off? Or did we just cut hours back?
Did we lay,
Yeah, did we lay anybody off, fire them, reject their employment, whatever, in the last couple of weeks at the
the last
city?
couple of weeks?
To cut our payroll back?
That
Okay, you just scaled everybody's hours
Hours
back.
were scaled back.
Okay. That's good.
Also, there were some resignations that were accepted.
Oh. Okay. Are we able to know who they are?
Wait, is this with the corrected figures?
Let me get back to you on
Okay.
that. Let me make sure that because that's employee matters, let me get back to you.
I understand.
There were a couple of resignations accepted, and there were some hours that were scaled down, yes.
Thank you very much.
As far as specifics, let me find out what
Because
is.
that's a significant cut. I mean, from 37 down to 20-something.
Yes, it is.
That's a cool, that's a great number to see happen. I hate that people lose their money. Yeah, thank you so much.
No problem. But let me find out what specifics can be released.
Thank you.
So I have the total numbers here on the bills instead of the 32,563.72. Adding it up, even with the corrected figures, it's only $25,036.69.
Okay. And we have the payroll sheets here as well.
We got about a $7,000 discrepancy.
I'd like to see the payroll sheets, please.
Do you have probably, if about 7,000, that'd be a gas station discrepancy.
Okay.
And then gas station got left off. I'm sure of that. Gas station.
Agendas have to be run. I noticed in here where it's summed, it says 45, 54, 36 plus $13,000. It's not 13,000, it's 1,300.
It's not even 1,300, it's 1,272.
237 is the precise amount, so, I mean, we can't work with this. Is this payroll?
I just got asked. Where's the insurance bill at? This insurance bill does though need to be paid. We are fine.
Well, we need to know what the amount is, and we need to verify that that's the right amount.
You all want to move on in the agenda, come back to these items?
Yeah, we can.
All right, so next item, we'll circle back to these items. Next item on the agenda is the nomination for Ward 3 seat. As you know, it's been vacant for about a month now, and I would actually like to nominate Diane Schultz to fill this seat.
I make a motion to appoint Diane.
Need a clerk. So we're going to circle around to this. From the perspective of the motion, maybe to make a motion again. Utilities.
I make a motion to appoint Diane to fill the vacancy.
So there's a motion. Motion seconded. Roll call vote. Yes.
Betty Tildes,
No,
Don Fleming, Brett Swanson,
Yes.
Marlene Blackburn,
yes.
Barbara Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-1.
We'll have a quick out. We're going to take a 2-minute break so we can convert to swear in. 2-minute break.
repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Diane Schultz,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
the ordinances of the City of Dixon,
the ordinances of the City of Dixon,
and I will meet all requirements
and I will meet all requirements
to serve in this office
to serve in this office
as prescribed in the Missouri State Statute.
as prescribed in the Missouri State statutes.
I will faithfully
I will faithfully
uphold my position
uphold my position
as Alderwoman
as Alderwoman
as I was appointed
as I was appointed
on this 12th day of December 2018.
on this 12th day of December 2018.
Congratulations.
Mayor, if we may, congratulations.
Thank you. My daughter's birthday present.
I have sheets from Jesse that shows the calculations on payroll, and the sheet that was presented to us, go ahead, Brett.
It doesn't, the numbers don't match up, so is this the correct payroll sheet through 11/30?
I can pass it down so I can see it.
Just verify, numbers don't match up to what we have in front of
Do
us.
these include loggers' contributions?
This just
Yes,
says
gross pay on it.
gross pay, the 22,128.89,
Below
and
22.
Okay, so you're saying we have a net pay of $21,196.96.
right,
This sheet's not.
this sheet is not correct. And that payroll sheet is correct.
Okay, I'm seeing hours, total hours, gross pay, but I'm not seeing in here the laggers and everything. Is that the difference?
No, that number that's down there below is higher than what we have in front of us. Not as the overall, just as the gross.
Just the gross pay for that period for all employees. Do you see one?
You're saying gross pay of 23,000. It looks like it's about $900 short.
Yeah.
If that's the correct figure. Are we on the right page with that?
That is the correct pay period because Jesse has the checks in there.
This would be,
No, it's not 22,128.89. It's about $900 short.
about $900 short, $23,002.45. So while we're looking at this, let's finish up with appointment of a budget officer. As you all clearly see, we need a budget
You're in
officer.
dire need of a budget officer.
Who here is willing to be a budget officer?
Brett?
I have some personal issues coming up with my wife and having to take care of her, so I do not think I would be in the capacity to do that.
Well, let me ask you, Mayor, are we in a position to ask for a volunteer that has a citizen with a financial background?
Council so chooses.
What are your respective duties as a budget officer?
Let's talk what we expect duties of budget officer to be? So what are the expectations? I would say that one expectation would be a review of the bills and revenue prior to the meeting. So after the clerks compile it, they pass it off to the budget officer for review.
To ensure checks and
Ensure checks
balances.
and balances. That'd be one. The other duty would be helping the city start to build its budget for next year. So already, we're a few months into this year, the budget should be starting for next year and being built. Obviously, they don't do all the work, but they would be receiving from various supervisors throughout the city, changes that need to be to the budget, estimates, those kind of things. What else? What do you all think would be the duties of a budget officer?
I think you track the budget through Summit, which is also a lot of personal confidential information for your employees. And
It does have a lot
all
of.
of, I mean, I think you want somebody who's bonded or
Jeff, you have to speak up, I can't hear you.
said, the budget is completely tracked through Summit, which controls all of the city's budget. It does the payroll, it does billing for the water, the sewer, and everything. So every budget officer is probably has access to those things. I know we've scaled back operations to cut payroll, but I want, quite frankly, I want someone messing with my Summit that's not walking around with a bond. So,
That's true, and they're also privy to personal information.
The insurance, covers elected officials, and then employees who work on the system, they're covered when they're bonded. So that's something to keep in mind.
Somebody from the phone.
It doesn't have to be.
No, it doesn't have to be like this.
Everybody can be bonded. I mean, they run a
There's a
background
lot of
check.
pertinent information.
They do the, credit check on the background, and you can go right down to Joe Miller and get a bond. That's not a biggie. But we do need a checks and balance in place. It's obvious. It's obvious.
Is there anyone here on the council who dreamed of being a budget officer since they were a little kid? That was their dream. Right now, I mean, don't be humble, speak up, raise your hand.
Well, that would be good then.
And give me a nod, give me a wink. The suggestion,
The mayor,
it shouldn't be the mayor. It should be somebody on the council who's going to be on the outside, be that constant looking in.
So I mean, you have access to all financial accounts, be it the bank accounts, et cetera,
You wouldn't have a signatory. I mean, you'd have access to the.
but I have access to the balances, et cetera, right?
well,
And
to
then
ensure that they're accurate, invoices that come in.
Now, there is a bookkeeper too, so you saw your balance and books and stuff, but there's a bookkeeper to assist.
It's basically a review of checks and balances to
I'll try.
match
Well, I
invoices.
can do it, right?
Okay?
I know she can do it.
Yeah, she can do it, because when she was on council before, she was on top of the money.
I make a motion to nominate Diane.
So there's. Keep it down. So there's a motion to nominate Diane Schultz.
As
budget
a
officer.
budget
And
Second.
it's seconded, the idea that they review. Okay, and seconded, roll call vote.
Debbie Dilges,
Yes.
Donna Fleming,
Yeah.
Brett Swanson,
Yes.
Marlene Blackburn,
Yes.
Barbara Thomas.
Yes.
No, I
No,
don't think she was.
well, you would still call her, but she's gonna say she's, well, I hope she says.
Motion carried.
Wait, no, you still call her.
Okay, Diane Schultz,
You should abstain, you should abstain or recuse myself.
motion carried 5-0.
All right.
Are you
Okay.
talking about the
There's
bills?
There's a yes,
I
Commissioner.
got a question.
Yes.
You talking about budget officer, you talking about one of these council members is gonna do the job that should be done back here?
No. that's-
What are you gonna pay them to do? I mean, you're paying somebody to do it now. I don't know. You follow where I'm going with it?
Yes.
Why do one of these people have to do it?
The,
I mean, you got a whole subject
We have-
cost.
It's in the ordinances.
we have to have a budget officer, one, and
Yeah,
two, a budget
it's in the
officer
ordinance.
would be, what they would do is their job would just be as kind of like a review type person. Like someone else just to give an extra set of eyes to what's going on, not do the work. There is a bookkeeper and there's clerks, but it's someone else to ask questions and give oversight to what's going on. That would be the idea, yes.
No. We can, instead of a budget manager, we can call it a budget monitor.
Well, traditionally, the budget officer, when we ever talked about that, it only really came up about the time we were going to go through or propose a new budget.
When you do,
Traditionally, the mayor was called the budget officer. We never really talked about that, but you would have him, you would have the treasurer, or excuse me, the clerk, and you could have any alderman there, as you had done in the past. So I would say that when you guys had your meetings earlier to come up with a new fiscal budget, probably the mayor was usually designated the budget officer. However, I understand what you're saying, it doesn't necessarily have to be the mayor. And then the duties that you're kind of talking about, in my opinion, are a little bit more involved than what my concept of a budget officer is. But that's my opinion of what happened in the past.
I'm reading the same thing as you say.
okay. All right, we're gonna move on now. I appreciate your opinions and I would, you have a budget officer approved now.
May I ask what you said, Gene?
Moving on.
What did you say, Gene?
Stop, no, you're out of order. We're going to move on with the agenda. Okay,
It's in the ordinances anyway.
let's go back to the bills. We want to table the bills at this time.
Well, we have to because we don't have accurate figures.
Okay. And we need a motion to table the bills.
When are we holding the next meeting? Because these need to be addressed.
They do. That's the problem. These do need to be addressed.
Are we holding the meeting this Friday?
Yes, there is a meeting this Friday.
Okay, then I make a motion that we table the bills on the agenda until Friday, next Friday, this coming Friday,
Okay.
and ask that they be placed on the agenda.
There's a motion on the table to amend,
I'll second that motion.
table all the bills until Friday. And seconded, roll call vote.
Diane Schultz,
Yes.
Betty Tilges,
Yes.
Donna Fleming,
Yes.
Brett Swanson,
Yes.
Marlene Blackburn,
Yes.
Barbara Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, next on the agenda is the 911 contract. Does everyone have a copy in front of them?
So I didn't know if 911 and anything else that she did too.
Yes. Director, everyone is here.
911 is here. Okay, if you'd like to speak, would you like to speak about the 911 contract at all?
My name is Michelle. I am the 911 director of Class County 911. I was called a couple weeks ago by your city attorney, Mr. Thomas, asked if we would consider signing a contract with the City of Dixon to do dispatching services. And we presented an agreement, the same one that we do with the City of Waynesville, we do it with the City of Crocker, we do it with the City of Richland. I came in case you guys had any questions. Basically, just to kind of put it in layman terms and in a nutshell, we ask each city, we call it a dispatcher, it could be anybody that you prefer, the city of Crocker uses somebody in City Hall during business hours to answer their administration line. So if somebody's calling in to talk about a ticket, talk about anything administrative, there's somebody there local that they can get a hold of. At 4 o'clock, they transfer the phones over to us. We have a 10-digit line. You guys, the city will be responsible on getting hold of their telephone company on how they would roll that line over, their administration line. And then we would answer those phone calls after hours. And then at 8 o'clock in the morning, they would roll it back to the city. We would have it 24 hours a day on weekends and on holidays. We offer all radio traffic. We've also got a system, a CAD system called Spillman, and we bought all software to where they can have MDTs, which are computers, in their cars. We would do all the training for free. We would give you the software for free. It would just take some setting up. You would have to have a computer or a tablet, a laptop to put into the car. You'd have to have a wireless connection and have a VPN set up here at the station or wherever their station is to communicate back to our server. They would have access to all the records on that MDT. They would also have to set up with the Highway Patrol to get user training. They'll come out and do that for you through the Highway Patrol for free, to where they can also run mules. I don't know if you guys know what that is. It's where they can run license plate checks, and they can run that from their cars. We also would require that when we do have their dispatch, we do all of our radio communication over a 911 repeater. We have 2 of those. We have one in Crocker off Ripple Road, we call that our north repeater, and we have one off C Highway, and we call that our south repeater. The Dixon ambulance uses those MDTs. If anybody ever is around the Dixon ambulance and go up there and see it, they use them very well. Matter of fact, we dispatch the ambulance out to a call, and they tell us when they're en route, and we don't normally hear back from them. They take care of everything on their MDT themselves. It even goes as far as the city of St. Robert and the city of St. Robert Fire Departments. They're using the system as well. We do not dispatch for them, but they bought into the system to use it. And they even have ADL set up on that, as automatic vehicle locator, to where we can see their trucks moving all the time. It has, they would have access to all their times, they would have access to all previous calls, and they would be able to use the mapping on it. So if they're responding anywhere out in the county for any kind of mutual aid, it has turn-by-turn directions. We do have, I've got a board member that brought with me, just his Chief Eureka with the Waynesville Fire District. He also has a bunch of software programming that he can program radios with. I'm pretty sure that some of the radios have the repeaters programmed in them. I don't know if it's handheld or mobiles, but he has software program that he said he would offer for free. He has the right programming to do it for the city to program your guys' radios for you. I did bring a list of the 2 frequencies that I can give to you guys so you can check your radios to make sure that you guys would have them. The biggest thing would be on the mule side of it. After hours, we would have to have access to the warrants and the injuries. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what a 10-minute hit is when an officer pulls somebody over and that person has a warrant out for their arrest. We have 10 minutes to verify that that warrant's active, what the bond is, and when the next court date is, and if it'll be extraditable. So we would have access to those warrants unless there would be somebody at the station that would be with those warrants 24/7, so we could get an answer to that. Richland and Crocker, Waynesville, we keep all their warrants, we do all their entries for them. That's all included in that price, and we house all the warrants at our office. Whenever Waynesville's a little bit closer to us, so they bring their inmates when they arrest them up to our 911 center and write the bonds up there. Richland and Crocker, they write their own bonds, keep their own bonds there. They just let us know over the radio or messages over Spillman that the person has posted bond, so we can send a message back to the arresting agent, to either agency, to let them know that subject's posted bond, or if it is a local warrant of ours, we'll have to clear it out of the system because you don't want that person picked up again on the same warrant. So there is a little bit of work that has to be done. We would have to be, I have a TAC officer, a full-time TAC officer, and they would have to be in touch with whoever the court clerk is with the City of Dixon to get, there has to be user agreements set up between the court and us and the PD and us to be able to use those ORIs. And we would also have to get hold of the highway patrol to get their terminal ID coming over our printer, so we would be able to see all those messages. And then on the Spillman side, of course, setting up those VPNs, I brought my assistant, Jerry Henry, with me. He's also my IT guy. He helped all of our local fire departments, all of our ambulance districts, and the PDs are using the Spillman system. And he has set up all the VPNs. So we'd be able to send him over to do whatever assistance would be needed. And we would also send him over to do the training to set up the Spillman and get the officers on how to use the MDT. And then, other than that, just a lot of paperwork that it's not going to be a lot of time consuming. We just need to get on it and get it pushed forward so we can get it done.
I have a question for you, Mayor, if I may. When you say they run a mules, they have an individual pulled over. The purpose of the mules is to see if there's any outstanding warrants, correct?
Right, or and there's other things, vehicles can be stolen, they could be missing.
Yeah, other things, right. So it kind of gives an officer a heads up of what type of person they're dealing with. It would also show the past if they've been, say, domestic assault or
We call those caution indicators when they pull a person over, if they've been in previous trouble where they assaulted a police officer or they've been known to be armed and dangerous, that's a caution indicator. So as soon as they run that person, that is one of the first things that shows up is a caution indicator. And now DORs even give us a photo of the person.
So let me ask you, why would it mandate up to a 10-minute turnaround? If you have an officer on the road and say hypothetically, this person has a felony warrant for assaulting an officer or attempted murder or whatever, time is crucial when they're on the road.
Right, and I think, and I can't answer for the Highway Patrol, that is all done through the Missouri State Highway Patrol, which is also contracts with the FBI. That's who we rent basically the system through, and that is just their protocol. You have a lot of bigger agencies like St. Louis and Springfield that are so busy, so they give them 10 minutes. So say for instance, if, Springfield's out on stop, we pull somebody over and they have a warrant out of St. Louis and we run it for them, we will send them what's a 10-minute hit and they have 10 minutes to get back to us if that warrant is active.
I see, so you rely on the information being provided to you if it's out of St. Louis.
Right.
To pass on to.
Right, and we would come back and tell them that they call that an active 99, which is a warrant. And we would tell him there's an active 99 that we have to confirm. We would let him know that we're sending that hit.
Is that typically the time period? Do you often see that the full 10 minutes is in fact used, or what is typically the response time on it?
It depends who you're dealing with. Unlike Greene County, they won't even extradite
No,
them.
I'm talking about for the municipalities that you're servicing.
Like when we send them hits, or when we send,
Right.
like when we get the hit, it doesn't, we have it right in our office. We normally have a very fast turnaround on those, but I can't answer for where we're sending the hits because it depends on their staffing and how, whatever their policies may be.
I got you. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ma'am, I think to clarify, the information's instantaneous. I mean, they have access to that right there on the screen, and they can tell you that. But you have 10 minutes to verify a warrant. We actually have the information immediately.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
That's,
She said that.
yeah.
She said.
And also on the MDTs that are in the cars, if the officers run it themselves, all that pops up on their screen.
Perfect,
It
because
was
my only concern was officer safety.
Right.
If there's an individual sitting there with a felony warrant for attempted assault.
You want them to be able to know that.
We don't want them sitting there 10 minutes
Right, and
to
like,
give that individual time to think or pull a gun or
Sure.
whatever.
and that's, just like what he had said, it is, we would see that until they have an active 99 on such and such, we're going to go ahead and verify it. If they run it from their cars, they would see the same thing, and that's why it was really good when they run it from their cars, because they
Yes,
get to
right.
see it right in front of them.
Exactly, so they know what type of individual they were dealing with.
Sure, and they get to see a photo, which is nice if somebody's lying about who they might be.
Yeah, that's always good.
Yeah.
Sure. What's your last name?
Grace,
I see you, Chuck, just, I'll grab you after.
And do you have a number?
I should do 573-774-64. 65341, and my extension is 222.
Do you have something stored electronically? Because this is kind of a crash course, and the majority of us at Orange Council are new and not really familiar with a lot of this information that you've given us. Do you have something that you might be able to send to our clerk in order so he can distribute it to us so we can read it on our own time?
Such
Like brochures or...
on the system, on the CAD system?
Or anything that you think would be pertinent to this?
Sure, and I also like to give an open invitation, and sometimes it might make a little bit more sense if you would, at any time, give me a call, set up a time, you can come over to our center, and I think if you see it and how we work, then it might make a little bit more sense to you. We use a lot of acronyms, and so sometimes that doesn't make sense if you don't work in this field. So if you can come over and kind of see it in action, you know, we can close down our mule screens and stuff, because you do have to be mule certified before we have you in. So we would have to do a little security there, getting that stuff done. But as far as the 911 center, we can take a cell phone, place a call, show you how it comes through the CAD, and Jerry can bring up the mobile side of it, show you how it looks like in the field from the MPTs.
Awesome. I'd be interested in reading that. One more quick question. This repeater that you were talking about, I'm new to all this lingo, whatever, we've had conflicting numbers on what one of these would cost. Could you tell us what that would be?
On putting up a repeater?
Or whatever. Yeah, I don't.
And a repeater is basically, we have a tower at our 911 center, and we talk to a lot of our locals in Waynesville off of our tower at our center. But because, you know, Dixon Fire, you know, we were having a little bit of problems talking, so we put a repeater system outside Crocker and we aimed it this way. So when they talk, it hits that repeater and then it transports it and then sends it back to us. So it's kind of like a shortcut, if you say. I could look up numbers. I would feel really bad telling you a number off the top of my head because we haven't put one up in a little bit. But I would have to, and we use water towers. Not always the great solution. Doug is on my board. And he's on my radio committee, and we're looking about putting up some actual towers, because when you use water towers, and without getting into technology, it's always better to have your antennas on top like this. We have them on beside each other, and they get to talking into each other every once in a while. And so we're looking at, that's part of our long-term, we have a short-term plan and a long-term plan on our radios, on our communications. So that's one of the things we're looking at doing.
And just to reiterate, the cost of this is $2,572.20 annually.
Yes.
Chuck, go ahead.
Okay, paragraph 3 of the contract states have a dispatch person on duty. You clarified that earlier, saying it didn't necessarily have to be a dispatcher or certified dispatcher or attack dispatcher.
No, and that can be up to the city, whoever they want us to use. City of Crocker uses their city hall employees during the day. City of Richland, they have somebody that comes in just a few hours a day because they use her to also do traffic ticket inputs and some stuff, other stuff locally for administration duties for the city. And then the city of Waynesville actually has a full-time person, but I think he does more than just dispatch. He has other duties assigned to his title.
And at this time, 911 Pulaski County is dispatching to Dixon on the Missouri Sheriff's Network at this time on 911 calls to us?
So when we get a 911 call and it's an emergency call, we will call for Dixon over State Sheriff's Net. If we don't get an answer, then we'll telephone call.
Okay. So you're dispatching for us a majority of our calls already?
Anybody that calls 911 in Pulaski County comes to our PSAP with it. That's a public safety answering point. Sorry, I'm in business. And unless it's a wireless call, which we all know about 91% of our calls anymore are wireless because everybody carries a cell phone. And it depends what cell phone tower that it hits and where that where it shoots to. Like if you go on the interstate around J Highway, there's a tower right there. And if you're on hit the west side of that tower, it comes to our 911 center. And if it's on the east side, it goes to Phelps County.
Wow.
And that's another thing that's good too, is our 911 center has a backup in Phelps County. So anytime if all of our trunk lines get busy, our calls automatically go over to Phelps County. And vice versa with that. So you never get a busy signal when you call 911 in our county.
I see you, Alan. We're going to go to Jeff first, Betty, and then we'll go to you, Alan.
Well, you sent me this contract about a month ago, I forwarded it over to the city, but your guys' next board meeting is Friday, right?
Yes.
Is that your last meeting of the year?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. Go ahead, Betty.
Thank you, Mayor. Is the location of addresses more of a problem when dispatching to unfamiliar locations?
I don't think I understand what you're asking.
Well, would it be easy for the police or whoever you're dispatching to here, would you be familiar, would it be a problem to find the addresses that you need to send people to?
We have digital mapping in Placer County, and actually we do the addressing for the City of Dixon. So we have everything that's got a point, and if it comes from a home phone, it is also, we're enhanced 911, so if it comes from a landline, we already get what that address is registered with the phone company. If it is a cellular device, it depends on the age of the cell phone. If it's a new modern phone, it's got a good GPS, we can come in within 100 feet on the GPS X and Y coordinates on phase 2. We're very fortunate, we have phase 2 abilities to where even if it's running down the interstate, we can rebid it, we can follow them where they're moving to.
So it's almost like a driver.
Yes, as long as it's on their phone
Yeah.
and they have an up-to-date phone.
Alan, please.
Yeah,
I
Michelle,
still have another question, so.
All right, let's let Larry finish, then we'll go on.
And will officers be available in the event that there's an emergency that you might need to send people over also? Would you be able to do that without a problem?
What do you?
Or officers, if we needed more officers?
I won't be in charge of the police officers. We're only dispatching.
But has there ever been a problem having more officers to an emergency at one of these little towns?
If they have,
If there was not.
all of our departments in Pulaski County are really good about mutual aid. So, and I'm pretty sure that, Marshall Frankel would tell you if he needs help, he would holler for assistance, we're gonna send the cavalry. That's kind of how we work. We don't want any of our officers.
That's pretty standard anyway.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Alan, you've been waiting patiently, right, please?
yeah, Michelle, when you're talking about whoever would answer the phones, from 8 to 4, 8 to 5, they're emergency and non-emergency calls.
Emergencies should all be coming over 911.
Okay.
Only thing that should be coming is your administration calls. When you advertise that 759 number, it should only be for administration. Anybody in this county that has an emergency should be calling 911. They should really never have to remember a 10-digit phone number to get help.
Right. If you remember, years ago, you came and made a presentation on 911. You talked about phase 1, you showed us the overlay, but at the time, if I remember, there was no funding by the county for you.
Right.
And that's why your rates at that time were basically prohibitive.
Right.
And you had talked about that, and then over the course of time, the county passed a tax. So basically, everybody in here has a tax that they pay, we're all kind of paying for 911.
Well, it's a sales tax.
Sales
So
tax,
anytime you go in Pulaski County and buy something, then we get a 1/4% of that.
And the software that you've got must not be cheap.
No, it was a little over 400,000.
But you make no charge for us to use it.
No.
Keith, I think you had something to comment.
Yes, unless you want to go ahead, I think we're probably going to comment on the same thing. Just for clarification, if this is a 911, it's a dispatching service to the police officers that are already on shift here. So it's not like they're going to be sending other officers up here to take those calls. The officers are already here working, and if they need assistance, just like any other day, they call in for assistance through dispatch. So I think there was some misclarification that's been.
No, I understood. She
Gary,
explained it very well.
Gary, do you want to add to that?
Couple quick questions. Are you Motion compatible?
We have a Motion radio, yes. And
So-
it's on all of our consoles.
So if we finish our Motion contract with the state, we could share Motion frequencies and not have to go through a repeater,
Right
correct?
now, we are requiring everybody to dispatch forward to go over the 911 frequency, and the reason being is because a lot of our other agencies are not MOSIN compliant. Once all the PDs we dispatch for get MOSIN compliant, I have no problem moving everybody over to MOSIN. But the reason we don't do MOSIN and the 911 repeater is because then you're talking about multiple agencies having to be answered on different frequencies. And if you only have one person sitting there to do it, you can only answer one person at one time, and you don't want somebody to get hurt if they're not getting answered.
the other question is concerning daytime dispatch. You said dispatch or admin or this, that, and the other. But you're not gonna run mules during the day, correct?
Yeah, we'll run this for you. If you guys go on a traffic stop, say what we do with Crocker. We will conduct, and this will all come out in the policy on NDTs, and of course, you'll have oversight of what you guys want to do, but as on part of the 911 center, we prefer the traffic stops to come through us because we think it's an officer safety. We need to know where you guys are when we're doing that traffic stop. And we need the J1 information because when you get out of the car, if it's stolen, it's easier for us to know where you're at and what you're with. Then when it comes to the J2 stuff, which is the people, if you want to go back to your car and run everybody, then that's what we prefer because then you get to see everything on screen. Now, there's no times you can't do that. If you approach the car and you think maybe there's drugs involved or maybe this person's a little, you don't feel safe about it, then of course you want to run your J2 through us just so you don't take your eyes off the car.
Are there any other questions?
And they'll have mules access in the cars,
Yes,
so they're never without mules,
right,
Plus it's down.
unless mules is down.
right.
Even if the 911 center's down, they'll still theoretically should be able to use mules.
Right, and the only thing it would not keep from is if
Unless
our
you-
911 center would get demolished and our server get demolished, then they wouldn't have access to the server.
There we go, okay. Very good, sounds very, very safe.
Go ahead, Jeff, we have another question over here.
Just for a point of information, there was a time period 2 marshals ago where the dispatchers were relieved. At that time, the clerk and the collector were given a very modest raise, and they became the people that answered during your 8 to 5. So when you said that, I thought that was possible, because that's what happened then. It only lasted for 30 days, but we did operate that way.
And can I also add, I've been doing this since '94. I was actually the first dispatcher that went live Halloween night of 1994. At that time, we dispatched for the City of Dixon. And we did for a year and a half. And there was we were then under the direction of the sheriff because we were through the commission. And there was some disagreement between the marshal that was here at the time and the sheriff at the time over an inmate. So it was nothing about 911. So they decided to start housing their inmates back in Dixon. So when they did that, the marshal at the time decided, well, if I'm gonna have somebody here having to watch inmates, we're gonna have them dispatch and use them for multi-purposes. So that's why we don't dispatch for Dixon any longer like we used to.
Interesting.
My only other, well, 2 comments. One is, if you want to speak to it, I know when I was researching this issue for the city, I came across a huge report that was commissioned by, I think, the legislature last year. It came out in 2017 or so. It is really talking about Missouri needs to centralize dispatch into larger portions. There are so many small towns that have held on to things like dispatch that don't make sense, especially in this era of modernizing technology and everything else. I mean, it's one of these things that's moving that Missouri is very far behind in. Pulaski County 911 has much better capability to stay up with the technology, especially being funded by the countywide sales tax versus us, not have a tax to fund the dispatch. That's my one comment. My second comment, if you want to speak to that at all.
Just to give you guys a little bit of information, Missouri we are way far behind. We're the only state in the United States that has no funding for wireless. We're very fortunate that we sit outside Fort Leonard Wood and our revenue's good, so we do have that. Also, the state of Missouri has made mention, there's a few counties in Missouri, actually several. Camden County and Osage Beach is one that has multiple PSAPs. Christian County has one with Nixa, and they are kept them off from any kind of grants for having multi-PSAPs in their jurisdiction.
Some states are even going to statewide dispatch to, let's say, you want that.
Well, and there's a lot of counties up north that are so rural, they cannot fund off the sales tax or telephone tariff because they're all farmland. They don't have enough businesses for sales tax, and they don't have enough homes for tariff. So they're consolidating into 3 and 4 counties into one PSAP. So it's getting, we had even been approached probably about a year and a half ago about even another county coming to us that was having problems and wanting to come to our PSAP. So it's getting more and more common to where there are going to be a lot of combinations.
The only thing I want clarification for the council, because we're obviously you're talking about the budget every time, is beyond your $2,500 and some change in the contract that we have to pay you annually. The capital outlay right now, my understanding, from talking to Marshall Brainfield and you as well, is we'll need to get the repeater up, which we don't know the cost of. We'll need 2 laptops at least.
We won't.
No, we don't
But when
need
you
to-
talk about the repeater, there will not be any, I mean, that's just making sure that his radios are programmed with those radios.
We would have an issue as far, like right now, I have a UHF antenna that is damaged. The last storm, it's big, I can't even talk to 10th Street, I can't talk to Ohio. That would be an issue, because we can't, like you said, you dispatch to now, your emergencies to over, would you say, state?
When we talk to you guys, we've always called you guys on state mutual aid.
And
Or no, state sheriff's name.
we don't answer because we can't do it. I mean,
Well, that's
that's our UHF antenna. So we would have to address that. That's why I was asking questions about Mostman, because I have all that equipment purchased. That was bought in 2016. And that's got its own antenna, it's got its own base, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the only added cost at this point would be probably an antenna to talk to the repeater in Crocker.
Michelle.
Correct.
We have 2 extra antennas that they're telling me.
15-foot tall VHF antennas. Sitting on the ground right now, not being used.
Okay. And we can address that. The other question, Spillman, is it NIBRS?
It's got NIBRS in it, yes.
Would we have to buy the arrested?
Here,
booking
and this will
module
be
for
up to you. Right now, some of the other agencies are still using their Crime Star. They're not using the records program. We're just talking, when I talk Spillman, you have to understand, because it's just a cat side, because that's all I don't mean to sound rude, but that's really all I care about, because that's all my dispatch runs out of. But we do have records, we do have evidence, we do have jail, all attached to that Spillman that we bought. So if you do want to use that, the 2 days of training that Jerry's gonna come over and train your guys on the MDTs will not cover any of that, which we can later, but to get this going quickly, we will just cover the MDTs. Because you have to understand, we didn't set through the records training because we're not police officers, so we would have to, we could get you manuals and we could wean it, but it's not gonna be by January 1st.
My understanding from the NIBRS compliancy class is we would have to have an arrested booking module of Spillman or keep crouched on one of the 2.
Yes. And that might make sense, because I know that St. Robert never talked about going back to Spillman because of NIBRS.
I don't know about the compliance issues, I know I spoke with the prosecutor very much, or the reports.
Correct.
But those also can be, and I talked to,
Crime Star, the issue is
on Hillman, I talked with him, he wasn't getting the right reports, and that's a lot of
These
it.
inside conversations down, we can't.
It was a brand new system, and so they didn't really understand on what they were submitting, and all those reports they're customizable. We can change it to whatever.
And that's the police report side, that's all can be tailor-made. The NIBRS compliancy that we have to be by 2020 is a statistic for the base program for the FBI. Right now, it's a big competition between software companies, whether that's Crime Star, they're not compliant yet, Spillman.
I'm gonna let Jerry, he said do that training, I'm gonna let him answer
So
that.
basically, what you're talking about, the booking module, is a module within mobile, which is within your MDTs. We don't have the booking module, that's an extra $20,000.
That was my question, right?
But every booking can still be done, but it has to be done through Spillman, not through mobile. So when you install it on your computers, you'll have 2 icons. You will have mobile icon, and you will have the Spillman icon. The Spillman icon is, we call it full-blown Spillman, where it's like a 911. It allows you to do anything in the system. And part of that is called non-custodial booking. That is the same thing booking does in mobile side of it. The only difference is your officers will have to not just be in mobile, they'll have to open up that second icon, log into that, and then they can go to non-custodial, and then they can do all their bookings, and UCR and NIBRS will all work through that same module.
So completely possible without the 20,000?
Absolutely, it's just the jail booking, actually the booking portion of mobile, just make sure the officers don't have to open the other program. He basically makes his
It's
traffic
quicker.
stop, he clicks booking, and it's just so much faster.
And
That was
what
the
we
big question.
suggest
But
is
it's
put,
$20,000, so nobody bought into that.
and what we suggest, put that on a actual computer in the station to where it's not bogging down like a laptop or something. So we can give you that same software and put it on a desktop. So when they're in there doing the reports and stuff, you have it on a desktop.
We have a server that it can go on. I mean, it's
Either way.
Great conversation.
Yeah.
Anybody else, any further questions? Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome. Call us anytime, and we would love to have you come over. Don't dial 911.
If we do, you'll get a business.
We're gonna go into a 5-minute recess. All right, so we just heard from, let's keep it down the back. We just heard from Pulaski County 911. We appreciate them coming by. There is an ordinance here. If anyone would like me,
Posted.
it should have been, it was distributed and posted. If this is something that the council would like me to read, a vote would have to be made to have it read.
I'd like to make a motion to have, is this, you mean the ordinance for 911?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to read.
Okay?
Will you read it, please?
I'll second that.
There's a motion to read the ordinance, and it's the ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter a contract with Pulaski County E 911. It's been seconded. Roll call vote.
Diana Schultz,
Yes.
Betty Tilges,
Yes.
Donna Fleming,
Yes.
Brett Swanson,
Yes.
Marlene Blackburn,
Yes.
Barbara Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Okay. If this is something the council did vote on, it would be ordinance number 567. An ordinance of the City of Dixon, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with the Pulaski County E 911 Board for Dispatch Services. Whereas the Board of Aldermen of the City of Dixon has determined that it is in its interest of the city to enter into a contract with Pulaski County E 911 to provide dispatch services to the city. Be ordained by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Dixon as follows. Section 1. The contract attached hereto as Exhibit A is approved. Section 2. The mayor is authorized to execute this contract, and the city clerk is directed to affix the contract, the official seal of the city, and attest to the same. Section 3. That all ordinances or any part of ordinances heretofore enacted which are in conflict with this ordinance and Exhibit A are hereby repealed. Section 4. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect from after its passage and approval. And then the Exhibit A is an agreement for dispatching services. This agreement made and entered into this blank day of blank month year. By and between Pulaski County 911 Emergency Service Board, a governmental entity of the state of Missouri, hereinafter referred to as Board, and City of Dixon, a municipality of the state of Missouri, hereinafter referred to as City. Witness it. Whereas the Board acting through the Emergency Services Division operates a 911 emergency service, and now theretofore, in consideration of the premise and of the agreements herein contained, the parties agree to the Communication Center will provide dispatching services under the following terms and conditions. 1. The term of this agreement shall be for the period of 1 year beginning on the first day of January 2019, provided, however, that the term of this agreement shall be automatically renewed for 20 successive periods of 1 year each thereafter, unless either party gives written notice of the non-renewal to the other party, not less than 90 days prior to the expiration of the current term. Provided further, however, that either party shall have the right to terminate this agreement at any time given, upon giving no less than 90 days advance written notice to the other party. 2. As used in this document, the term dispatching services shall include the receipt and efficient handling of telephone calls, requesting law enforcement, fire protection, ambulance services, medical services, utility services, and other services of emergency nature. Upon receipt of a request for services within the city limits of the City of Dixon, the Communication Center shall promptly notify the appropriate agency. Radio communications will be conducted over the 911 repeater frequency. 3. The Communication Center requests that the city utilize their own dispatch for the period from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Friday, excluding those holidays recognized by the City of Dixon as official city holidays and radio traffic during emergency situations. It will be responsible for the responsibility of the city to forward phones to the Communication Center, as well as notifying the Communication Center of all for a total of $2,532.20 to cover the cost of this agreement for the following year.
Mayor, may I speak?
Go ahead, please, of course.
Based on everything that was represented to us this evening, I believe it is in the best interest of the city that we do enter into the agreement for dispatching services with 911. And therefore, I make a motion that we approve and accept the 911 agreement and the ordinance number 567 with regard to that.
So is there a motion on the table to accept the 911 agreement or number 567? Yes, go ahead, question.
This should be read twice.
Okay, would you like to make a motion to read it twice?
Yes.
I don't know because we did a,
Because there's an ordinance involved.
we did a reading last time of it and
We did not do a reading.
And we
Posted
did
copies,
copies.
which is the second one.
yeah, we did a public posting on that, Diane.
No, it still doesn't meet the requirements of the statute. Even though it's publicly posted, it still has to be read a minimum of 2 times before it can be passed.
Okay, so,
Jeff, you're an attorney.
I think you can read the ordinance again if you want it, but I don't think you need to read the contract with it.
okay, so,
That was the long part.
so would it,
Just the ordinance necessary.
Yeah, that's what
so would you like, you want to make a motion?
That's all.
So there's, you already made a motion, there's a motion on the table.
I withdraw my motion at this time.
Okay,
I just want to make that clarification. So-
are you making a motion to have?
No, I'm making a motion that you read the ordinance the second time.
Okay,
Okay?
so you are making an ordinance to read it a second time?
I will second Diane's motion to read
I was verifying that you made it.
second time.
Okay, so please read back the motion, just for clarification purposes.
Diane Schultz made the motion to read the ordinance for the second time. Marlene Blackburn seconded it.
Okay, roll call vote.
Diane Schultz?
Yes.
Betty Tildes?
Yes.
Donna Fleming?
Yes.
Brett Swanson?
Yes.
Marlene Blackburn?
Yes.
Barbara Thomas?
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0.
Okay, ordinance number, if it's approved, will be 567. An ordinance of the City of Dixon, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Pulaski County E911 Board for Dispatch Services. Whereas the Board of Aldermen of the City of Dixon has determined that it is in the interest of the city to enter into a contract with Pulaski County E911 to provide dispatch services to the city. Be it ordained by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Dixon as follows. Section 1. The contract attached hereto as Exhibit A is approved. Section 2. The mayor is authorized to execute this contract, and the city clerk is directed to affix the contract, the official seal of the city, and attest to the same. Section 3. That all ordinances or any part of the ordinances there heretofore enacted, which are in conflict with this ordinance and Exhibit A, are hereby repealed. Section 4. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage and approval.
And based upon that, I make a motion that we accept the agreement for dispatching services and for ordinance number 567.
I'll second.
You were first. Good, sir. First, so there's been a motion and seconded.
Who seconded?
Diane Schultz seconded. Roll call vote.
Diane Schultz?
Yes.
Betty Tildes?
Yes.
Donna Fleming? Yes. Brett Swanson?
Yes.
Marlene Blackburn?
Yes.
Barbara Thomas?
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0.
Okay.
You guys need to amend your budget to pay for the contract.
Now, in order to pay for this contract, the budget would have to be amended.
There was a line item for prisoner in the jail that close to it.
Line item number 20, this is my suggestion, that line item number 206570, which was for prisoner upkeep, total budget $15,000 for the year, be changed to support Pulaski County 911.
How much was the amount, 15,000?
$15,000 for the year. So that what we purchase, so equipment or whatever needs to be purchased.
Change to what?
Yes. The line item number, I would suggest Pulaski County 911, that'd be the
What line item number is that again?
It's 20-6570. 6570, prisoner upkeep, under the police budget. Total budgeted was $15,000.
Does anybody want to make that motion, or I will?
I'll make a motion that item 20-6570 in the amount of $15,000 be changed to Pulaski County 911 funding.
I second that motion.
Motion been made and seconded to change this line item number. Roll call vote.
Diane Schultz,
Yes.
Betty Tilges,
Yes.
Donna Quinn, yes. Brett Swanson,
Yes.
Marlene Blackburn,
Yes.
Barbara Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
And we have, the next item on the agenda is having each council member only 5 minutes to present a solution. We've got a lot of problems. The idea behind this is a brainstorming type session. You'll notice the next item after this is the water and sewer increase. So what we're asking for is that as you take your turn, each of you talk about the ideas that you have for solving the city's long-term revenue problems. And we'll begin with Betty Tilges.
I'd like to start having regular meetings on the first Monday of each month instead of having so many and then canceling and rescheduling most of them. So our ordinance is for the first Monday of every month, unless we change that ordinance. Stop tabling items on the agenda. If we cannot talk to one another, council members, about that item, we're not asking them to vote, make a vote, just to brainstorm them. That's all. We need to be able to talk to one another. Also, approve the Robert Rules of Order, which we have done, and we need to go by them. That will help us to make life and these meetings a lot better by doing the things correctly. Think about raising property taxes, raise water and sewer prices, so our city can survive and we can keep what generation after generations have worked very hard to get, to hand down to our children and have pride in our town, and so we can survive. We need to bring in more money by raising sales taxes, and we do need to work together while we were at this table.
Arlene, would you go next, please?
Well, when I saw that it was just solutions, I just kind of put down solutions to problems that I thought were just all over the place. So can I just...
Yep, time's yours.
Okay. I want to start off by saying that one of the first problems that I thought of was we have too many ideas and solutions that have never really evolved out. And just as an example, even though there's one out there, there's an employee handbook that's still waiting to be revised and accepted. Job descriptions, park manager, park cameras, old maintenance, building renovations, agreements with Pulaski County regarding, road grading or things of such. The solution for me, as far as that goes, is to set goals. Goals need to be set to accomplish these ideas or tasks. The goals should be set and follow through to fruition. Each goal should then be checked off and moved on to another until all goals have been accomplished and emphasized. Use a list, dry erase board, or electronic calendar to remind yourself or your team of these goals. Establish a weekly or bi-weekly meeting with your team as a status check. Next problem, I'm not trying to offend anybody, okay? I'm just throwing this out there. City Hall is a procedural mess. Solution for that, modernizing the office procedures. Work with City Hall staffers to establish better work habits and increase workflow. I think the mayor needs to discuss with staff on a weekly basis any issues that are getting in the way of completing tasks, and also consider refraining from dumping new tasks on personnel until the staffer is able to complete the first task or is capable of handling more than one task at a time. Too many irons in the fire lead to mistakes and forgetfulness. The mayor should also consider having some positions cross-trained in case of absences or vacancies. A better filing system needs to be instituted, including steering away from hard copy sources and leaning towards electronically stored materials for easier access for authorized users. And add the ability to track those that access the information. In other words, through technology, we'll know that Jeff was looking around in there, Lou was looking around there, and who was accessing this information just for, in case, because, in the past, I know that there's been members of the public along with council people that have come into City Hall at all hours of the night accessing information. And what they were there for, we don't know. We don't know if anything was removed from the office or not at this point. So I'm not done.
Oh, no,
I'm not done. So I have to listen first to that. Okay. The other problem that is kind of high on my list is employee morale. Our employees are the most valuable asset we have, as they are all unique in their day-to-day duties. Mayor and/or council should consider meeting with employees to hear issues that are important to them, hear their complaints, and acknowledge their good work. Provide for a bi-monthly or quarterly snack day as a gesture of goodwill and appreciation towards those that serve the citizens in our community. If someone has gone above and beyond in their duties, met a personal milestone, or submitted an idea that was put into effect and the city benefited from, then they deserve to be commended. And eventually, like everybody else, I'd like to see all of our employees get better wages and establish benefit packages. I mean, we've been striving towards that for years, and we haven't been able to do that very well at all. And I come across a quote that I thought was kind of nice by this lady named Tammy Cohen. I don't know who Tammy is, but I like her quote. It says, "A great employee is like a four-leaf clover, good to have and hard to find." Okay. Another problem, the city's county reputation. I know a lot of people think, well, who gives a crap? I do. I think we should try to mend fences and try to partner with other communities instead of alienating ourselves. We could probably learn a lot by reaching out and establishing a better rapport with them and learn what has or hasn't worked for them and save time and money by comparing notes. Cities should seek out those that help us reverse the reputation the city has and stop the blackballing effect that Dixon has had for many, many years. Not just now, but it goes back for years and years. My next problem I come up with, accountability. Solution, be more accountable to the public, employees, and council persons. This can be accomplished by formally addressing issues outside of council meetings head-on or in a simple statement in any of the local papers. Good, better, and different, we were elected to act on behalf of the citizens and they deserve to have answers. This includes response time to sunshine law requests. Requests should be acknowledged immediately. The proposed date for the receipt of the information given to the requester should more time be needed. I've only got 3 more. Problem, dependency. Solution, once the city gets back on our financial feet, we should strive to become more self-sufficient and less reliant on other communities for handouts. The citizens in general should be more supportive of their community and not expect others to consistently come to our aid. Next thing, this might be something that we really need to look into, the municipal court. City officials might consider eliminating the municipal court in order to cut back on costs and salaries until further notice. Salaries include legal representation, PD coverage, and participation, clerk salaries, costs associated with utilities consumption, and possibly other expenditures. And then the last thing I have is the sewer plant and water issues that we've been plagued with. A solution, hopefully, continue to research and consider the sale of either the sewer plant and or water system to American Water or Heritage via the bidding process. The city needs to commit to developing a better understanding of this option and continue to discuss in public how it would benefit our community and derail those that continue to keep Dixon in dark ages for their own personal reasons. Our community continues to be baffled and complain about why Dixon hasn't seen growth or industry over the past several years. Let's stop the complaining about rate increases and look at how this would benefit Dixon as a whole. Some things may be able to be negotiated, including payment plans. People need to keep in mind that having a sound infrastructure that either American Water or Heritage could provide will be a draw for families looking for a new home or start a business in our area. The same consideration would be given by companies locate a business such as when Quaker did, just broke ground in Eldon for a multi-million-dollar plant that would employ 300 people. Selling or partnering with either of these companies would be a notch on our belt and a step towards bettering our future as a city.
Thank you, Ron.
You're welcome.
That's awesome.
Brandon,
Nice to know.
next.
Thank you.
I'm not gonna be as eloquent.
Spanish you've never heard.
So, talking with the electric company, and right now we're sitting at only about $250 of the light cost that we can reduce. We're still diving into it a little bit more. Our average bill, we're paying $7,500 a month is what we should be paying to play catch up. Our actual bill is around $6,600. Over 2/3 of that bill goes to electrical use of the water and sewage plant. Infrastructure. That cost is exorbitantly high because we're running on older equipment and it's using more power to work harder. The city really needs to, we need to make sure we do the research, get the information out there. We will have to more likely increase the water and sewer rates, but more likely we will have to sell that infrastructure. We just don't have the means to keep it. It is something that we need to dive in and get the exact numbers on. And I know we're running tight on that time frame, but that I really don't see a way out of it without increasing water and sewer rates higher than what these private companies will charge. Be the only way for us to maintain it ourselves.
Can I throw what you said, and I'll let Rich just say.
I lend her the rest of my time.
Then yes.
Well, just a quick,
Since
no,
you only
I mean,
go-
I've been researching this whole thing, and I've talked with Jeff several times about, this whole selling the systems, blah, blah, blah. And it's not just us. I mean, this is all over Missouri, all over the United States. And as a matter of fact, just tonight on the national news, President Trump signed some kind of something or another to help communities like ours with stuff like this. So, and more information is going to be coming out in January regarding this, whatever it is that he signed off on. So, there might be something out there in the future, not just us.
Good. That's great to hear. And if we could go to Donna next.
Well, since everybody did a little bit of what I did, what I said, yeah, well, the thing is, it's the tabling of things. If we had an agenda, like, if we have a meeting that is designated for a night and an agenda, and we get it 4 or 5 days, and if there's something we don't understand, we can either come to the city clerk, talk to him, we can find out something, and if we need a meeting or something to discuss it, we need to find that information so that when we come to the table, it's not tabled. We can make a decision then and there because we've already been informed. This tabling things and then coming back and redoing and redoing and redoing is just a waste of time. I don't know. To me, it just seems like we're not getting much done. We're just tabling on.
Thanks, Donna. Is that it?
That's it.
All right, and next we go to Barbara.
Okay, I concur with the majority of what Marlene said, and I concur with what Brett said. But I think the biggest issue is that the city has an unmanageable debt load. With the revenues that we receive, when we include payroll, and by payroll, I mean hours have already been cut. We're working with the skeleton crew with regard to water, sewer, and streets. So, I mean, there is no more cutting that can be done because we can't require the workload of 4 individuals for the whole city. It just doesn't work. And the difficulties that we have making payroll, as Brett said, much less the electricity or the arrears that we owe on that, the revenue just doesn't support our debt load. We would, the way I see it, would have two options. One, to substantially increase water and sewer, or we would have to sell sewer service, maybe even water. I would like to hang on to water so that we would possibly realize some revenue from that. But the problem I think the city is facing that we have to solve is the debt load that we have. We are unable to manage the debt load that we have with the revenue we have. And I think the resolution would be, one, to increase rates, or two, to consider selling sewer services.
And Diane, to bring us home.
I talked to Jesse today, and.
Please no naming of employees. No mention of employees.
Oh, okay, I talked to someone today that informed me that some figures and stuff were thrown my way, and I know that the sewer plant was probably a recommendation that I threw out there several times and kind of pushed it, but I'm kind of scary with that because I'm thinking, we got these two bonds, okay? These two bonds are kicking our butts. Okay, I mean, it's literally kicking our butts with the interest and the trust fees and everything else that go along with it. I'm thinking, why not take the sewer plant instead of selling it, use it as collateral, go to one of these banks or both these banks, see if we can consolidate these bonds, get out from underneath them in a private loan, which would be a lot more financially feasible for us to meet. And we could do it on a monthly basis as opposed to trying to meet the $100,000+ that we have to pay every year for these two bonds. See, we got the second bond and kicked our butt, okay? We weren't ready for it. Plus, we lost, what, 100 people in revenue as far as services? I mean, that shows up, okay? And, I mean, we've got to do something. We can't just continue down the path we are. We are going to go bankrupt, okay? And the point being is, if we increase taxes for water and sewer, and maybe even sales taxes, just do it until we get above board again, and then back it off a little bit to make it financially feasible for everybody in the community to meet, because some of these people just don't have the money, okay? And we're going to lose more people if we increase it too much. But if we sell the sewer plant, it's a darn if you do, darn if you don't situation. We sell the sewer plant, they're going to increase the rates anyway. So why don't we just increase the rates now, get that money ahead of the game, start pulling ourselves out of the hole, and if we can't meet that, then we'll have to take another course of action. But the thing is, that as far as our maintenance crews and stuff, why are we not utilizing county services? That was thrown in our direction. I didn't see where there was any lines drawn as far as the utilization of the county. That's what, I mean, we pay county taxes, so why can we not use those services, okay? Nuisance properties, I think we could, if we get busy with, we've got a lot of community churches around here, okay? A lot of people have a lot of equipment, okay? Have a citizens day where we all get together and we just clean up this town, get it ready, okay? Because people look at this town, they drive through this town, they see all this trash laying everywhere. They see all of these burnt out houses and everything. Do you think they want to move here? It devalues my property, it devalues your properties. Okay? So we got to do something. This has been going on since I was on the council last time. Okay? So the ordinance was passed, it just needs to be put into operation. And we need to be sincere with these people that own these properties and tell them, clean them up, or they start getting fined. I mean, it's got to be. We can't be the nice guy anymore. We can't.
It's ideas.
But Diane, if I may interject and say, it's a great idea that you said to go out and get a commercial loan and consolidate all this. But quite honestly, there's
the loan, that increases, it puts it to a Class B, which increases the value of the sewer plant, okay?
But the financial condition of the city, I can't foresee, and I could be wrong, I can't foresee that anybody would even run a risk of financing.
But it doesn't hurt to ask.
That's
I mean,
true.
I'm looking at sitting down
That's
with the bank officer and saying, what can you do to help us? Because if we lose, you lose.
That's true.
Okay?
And we
That
need
means-
a positive foot forward.
Absolutely.
We need to put a
So I'm
positive.
gonna stop the conversation, this is just about ideas, Diane, were you able to finish? About
I'm
ideas?
down.
Great ideas, there needs to be some further discussion follow-up from this, and that we will continue with. But we'll go on to the next item on the agenda, which is water and sewer increase, several people here mentioned that. It's my understanding, if we don't do anything, there's an automatic 5% increase. And is there, so sewer and water increase, let's put this up for discussion now.
Well, if we don't do anything, it goes up 5%. The first of the year, right? Could we, after it goes up the 5, if we don't raise it now, and it stays at, and it comes into effect the first of January, can we come back and look at it, and then up it after that,
To my
see
understanding,
where we're
yes.
at,
Yes, to my
and
understanding.
do it that way, and do it in increments, and I think then the people would be a little bit more, yes, to
Josh
that.
also mentioned to me that DNR is coming down to do a rate study the first week of January.
Yeah, we're going on.
So,
So
let me, let's take a couple comments, please. Let's take a couple comments from citizens about water and sewer increase. If anybody would like to mention anything, please go ahead, Phil.
Did we not have an ordinance that said we were to increase rates 5% a year?
They just said that.
Yeah.
They did say that?
That's what we're talking about.
Okay. But why haven't we?
It
If
went
we
up
elected
January
not to?
1st.
What's that?
Water was increased January 1st, 2018.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the other 7 or 8 years before now.
They ignored it.
What's that?
They ignored it.
All right.
Okay.
Wasn't it increased though in the past in order for the whole bond thing going on?
There was a pretty good increase
That's
in
what
water.
I want to say it was 4%?
Yeah, the rural water went up tremendously, because if you remember, there was an ironclad 29-year contract with rural water, and you could never break it. Finally, when that sewer project came, darn near built. Now, we thought there'd be bad, be flat, no, there wasn't. But as far as what he was talking about, 5%, maybe all of us have been guilty over the last 2 decades, because we didn't follow what we're supposed to do. Now you're looking at, I would say, a 25% increase to hope you get it. Keep in mind, the $60,000 a month, if you're taking that in on income, 25% of that's only going to give you $180,000 in a year. Sorry if I kind of crunched the numbers before. But I also keep in mind, and I am not against American Water and Power, but we heard them say that their initial bill would be double what ours is right now, right out of the gate. So, with that being said, that would be a 100% increase. And if you're going to accept a 100% increase, take a 25% across the board. I don't want to do it, I don't want to see anybody have to pay more, but what else do you do? Do Diane's suggestion and bankrupt?
Well, and on the flip side of that though too, Alan, is we go to doing like what you said, and we're still gonna have crap infrastructure.
Well, the
Whereas
problem
if
is,
one of these systems, and one of these companies come in, they're fixing everything.
Okay, so we're gonna go to Chuck, and then we're gonna.
Now, the folks that were here last week, Brunel and Company? The engineers?
Yes.
One of the main things that the lady said was that American Water and Power comes in, takes over your facilities, but not your distribution lines or your sewer lines going to your plant.
Right.
And that's where our problems are in our lines, not in our, we need to do an update out at the plant, but our real problem is the line.
That's right.
Excellent.
That's exactly.
So that, so selling, I don't even see where that could even be considered an option.
Excellent point, Chuck.
Yeah.
Unless something is offered by another company that would be inclusive.
Yeah.
But I
But I think the rates
understand
would be-
exactly what you're saying. Why sell our operational plant and have them increase the rates by 100%, and we're still stuck with the real problem, the sewer lines?
And we gotta fix them when we got no income from them on top.
Exactly.
So that deal.
No,
It was my understanding that American Water would buy the assets, and the question was asked if the assets included the infrastructure that was the main lines from the houses. And they even spoke of a system that came in and blew the line out and sealed everything with some material
It's
that
an
fixed,
epoxy.
an
Yeah.
epoxy that fixed all of our infrastructure. So I
Yeah.
think American Water was all-inclusive with the assets being our infrastructure
Well,
and
maybe
sewer
I'm
lines.
confusing the two.
Grinnell had spoken.
Hold on,
But I-
hold on. Let's not speculate, let's try to get those companies to speak for what they do.
Don't need to say, Grinnell was just saying.
It's a great point. Let's go ahead,
See,
Mark.
I gotta ask that question about the sewer lines, because we got 11 miles of sewer lines, okay? Those sewer lines have been revamped, okay? That was a $1 million project, okay? And the thing is now that they've been revamped and new manholes and everything, that increases the value of the plant itself, because they said they would take that over. Okay? And that's part of the deal. The sewer lines are, that was one of my questions too.
American Water stated explicitly that their valuation of the system includes anything that's in the ground. The engineering firm came in and stated that they did not, but they cannot speak on behalf of American Water, who had already stated that they would take over all infrastructure, including lines in the ground.
That's correct. Okay, Mark, do you have another comment? Anthony, please.
I'm not for or against it. I'm still on the fence about selling the sewer plant and infrastructure. I just really hate to see that. I think the city could put a plan together, a 5-10 year plan to where they could fix that. Of course, that's a big deal, but I really hate to see the profit go to a big company.
Right.
That's my own thing.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the city profit, have their own employees employed. That way they can say, listen, we dug our heels in, we got our stuff together, we didn't have to sell our stuff.
And Anthony, I think you're right about that, because, they're looking at a long-term plan. At first, yes, it's gonna be money.
Yeah.
But 5 years, 10 years down the road, it's gravy for them. I understand what you're saying. And that does take potential revenue away from the city. We've lost it.
They wouldn't want to do it. They wouldn't want to do it if there wasn't a profit.
So I see, personally, the only way we can do it is a rate increase, or if that rate increase, as Alan said, will only realize about $100,000 a year, right?
25% of 60,000 a month.
So,
Times 12.
And that 25% is at least 5 years we missed up the 5% rate increase we were supposed to have, which would service the $145,000 annual debt payments on the bonds.
It was worth it. And you could even go even more, because let's face it, from what I can remember, the sewer project was minimum $250,000, probably closer to $300,000. And when Diane was talking about the $1 million project, I would estimate, based on different engineers I've talked to do a complete system in this city would be 9 to 10.
Jolene?
I think when you guys get closer to the date and stuff, you really need to have a lot of town hall meetings to educate people. People are hung up, like, for council sake, well, our people can afford it. It doesn't matter if they can afford it or not. Your job as council is to make sure the city makes money and to keep the infrastructures running. You're gonna have to raise it. And that is gonna mean a bunch of people might have to move out of town. Some people are gonna have to sell their homes, and renters might not be able to afford to live in here. But they need to be educated on why. They also probably need to be reassured that if their rates are gonna be raised, we're going to be also getting out of the holes that we're in, and that might be some of the whiplash stuff that you're getting back from them.
Right.
They're like, well, why are we just gonna give you money? Where's it gonna go?
well, like it was said, if we sell it, you can probably look at a 100% increase. You know, if you're paying $70 a month for water and sewer, you can count on a $140 a month bill.
Yeah, make sure if you're gonna raise it,
And
that
it's out of
keep in
our
mind
control
it's
then.
gonna break. Something's gonna break if you guys decide to keep it. Even though you raise your rates, there's gonna have to be money to fix whatever's blown.
But there's always negotiations too, and it's not just American Water, there's the other company too, that if I recall, they wanted to speak with the council on their behalf as well. We haven't heard them out, we've only heard American Water. And if the two are bidding against each other, somebody's gonna want to win out, and they're gonna sweeten the pot somewhere. And if that means being able to negotiate, people, making payments or however that will work, then maybe we might be able to work something out.
So at this
There's another
point,
one from Texas that was interested in coming to talk.
so I think very good comments have been made, and I think at this point, it's clear that, well, it would appear that the city needs to continue to research this, which I think is going to be the best option. Continue to research this, continue to throw out ideas. Let's see if we can come up with a 5-year plan.
I think in the interim though, Mayor, that we
Yes.
do need to increase the rates.
And is that something that the council wishes to do tonight, or do they wish to do it after the rate study?
I think that, I don't know how you all feel, and I'm just talking, but I think we need to increase it. I'm personally thinking about an 8% increase effective January. Because if you're looking at, a $90 bill, that would increase it $7.20 a month at 8%. I just think that's a lot better than a 100% increase.
Better than nothing.
And
It's not enough.
I want to hear what the.
It's not, but I just think, if you don't mind, Mayor, I'd like to talk to the council. I just think at this point that the 5% is not really going to do a whole lot. And I think we need to go up to around 8% increase. I think 10% would be too substantial for some people. But I think at least 8% would get us moving in the right direction. And we can see what revenue is realized from that. And, it may be something that can help us down the road financially.
And if the DNR comes in and says that's not high enough,
So
are you gonna raise it again?
And that's what we'll have to do.
We can do it in increments.
Let's hear from the.
From the collector's office, I
please.
will say that this decision does not need to be at the 12th hour. We've had great discussions tonight between the 5% that is an annual raise to begin with, the 25% that we've missed, coming into a feasible connection where everyone can agree on a number, needs to happen probably this week. Because on my end, the paperwork has to be done, it has to be posted, and then I have to get a hold of Summit, who has to change all the rates and form everything. And when you get into the end of the month, it's not easy for me to turn that around. We are going to bill this last month, and it's not going to go into effect until January 1. However, the more knowledge you're putting out to the citizens of this city, the more knowledge I have, the more that I can talk to them, and the better they're going to be with it come January 20th when their bill is due. I am not attempting to put any pressure on, I'm just
Those are great
putting
comments.
the fact out there that the sooner that the decision is made, either tonight or Friday night, it needs to be made sooner rather than later.
I agree with you. I agree that it does need to be made, because Gwen's right. We're looking at a couple of weeks left in this, end of this year, and she has to confer with Summit in order to reformulate the billing. Going from what percentage to 8% on top of that. There has to be some adjustments made for that. That's why I would encourage the council that we tonight vote to increase the rate, and I propose 8%.
Are you making the motion?
I'm still talking.
Okay. Just making sure. I have to make sure the way you started it.
That was said in the stone cold
I'll hear it.
face.
I would.
No, I'm still talking. I want to
over the long term, but I think 10% is a more reasonable jump. It's still higher than your 8%, but we gotta make a pretty big headway on this, and I think 10% would be a big
I'm going to
nice
disagree with you, Brett. I think that the 8% will be sufficient for at least 6 months into the next year. Hear me out.
Let her finish, please.
And the automatic 5% can be initiated in the summertime.
Let's hear from everybody, please.
So that would be 13%, right?
As they finish.
I agree with Brett, I think we need to go 10%. If we don't, we are going to lose our town, and don't want to do that. And most of the people in this town want to save our town, they want to keep our water and sewer up, and as much as we can, get it back on our feet here and move forward. I believe 10% is fair right now. We're going to have to raise it again.
That's right.
Because that's still
It's
really
a
low.
lot of money, 5% next year. So January 1, it could be raised another 5%.
I'm spending $130 a month in water, clean drinking water in my household, because I can't drink tap water. Every month, water main breaks at my house, and I'm out of water for 3 to 4 days at a time. You know, how quickly Josh can get it fixed with equipment that we do not have. I'm pretty stocked on 10%. We haven't been functioning. Health councils haven't made it happen. 10% is what we need to do, and the way to put it to the citizens is they're paying 25% on it that they haven't been charged.
Yeah.
10% we're making up. We're not doing a price gouge on them. They've been getting a free, at the beginning, only paying 75% for X amount of years. It's something the city needs to do.
You've got
We want to keep our head above water.
You've got a very relevant point.
Donna and
Marlene?
Well, the people that I talked to in Ward 2, they will not go to the polls and vote for selling the sewer. They'll do anything at this point to save the sewer. They do not want that sold, and so, you know, they'll have to bite the bullet. I think 10% too. I really do, as much as I hate to, but we've got to do something and they understand that we are having hard times and the water bills are going to go up. And like I told them, if whoever buys it, it's going to go up $65 anyway. So they're going to be paying the money anyway.
That's true.
And so if we up it in increments,
In an effort to save our
the
city.
city and the sewer, they're willing to do that.
See, what hurt was whenever they did the bond.
Yeah.
They slapped us with the total increase.
Am I right or wrong?
I went from a $43 bill to a $70 bill, okay? And I was living on a fixed income at that time, I wasn't working. So that was a substantial amount of money for me, okay? And there's other people in here that, I mean, they don't have it as lucrative as I do, but the thing is some of these people are gonna have some hard times, and I know that, and I know you gotta get that feedback, okay? But I guess I'm gonna have to retract and say I do agree with you, Brett, because 10%, I mean, 10% seems like a feasible way to go.
Yeah.
Considering the 35.
I was pushing it to go to 8%, but when he said 10%, I'm like, let's do 10%.
Marlene,
So-
can you?
Yeah, I think I tend to go with what Brett was talking about. So I'm with the 10% and the first one.
You don't want us little redhead? Huh? That was nothing? Yeah.
I'm all for
So it would appear that the council is somewhat in concurrence. Does someone want to make a motion at this point?
I'll make a motion that we increase the water and sewer rates by 10%.
Starting.
Effective January 1st.
Okay.
And I said,
Okay, so for clarity's sake, because especially because it involves rates, please read back the motion.
Brett Swanson made the motion to increase the water and sewer 10%, starting January 1st.
Okay.
Donna Fleming seconded.
Second, roll call vote.
Diane Schultz,
Yes.
Debbie Tilden, Burgess.
Yes.
Donna Fleming.
Yes.
Fred Swanson.
Yes.
Marlene Blackburn.
Yes.
Barbara Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Okay,
The thing is
I have a question.
yes.
When DNR, this is probably back, when DNR comes in and they say clearly that that's not going to be high enough, when would you plan on, I mean, because I don't want to hit the citizens either with a, here's your $45 rate increase. But when would you,
So
how would you go about planning it? What stages do you think you would be able to?
I would ask, so we should see results from rural water as far as like the rate study in early January, and we'll put that out as soon as we get it, well, in a meeting. And then I would ask that the council maybe wait and see what 10% gets us at before jumping immediately, so at least see what 1 or 2 billing cycles do. That would be, I think, the best way to go about it.
Well, this will reflect on the rate study also.
Right. I was just thinking that they came back and said you didn't raise it high enough to meet whatever they're saying.
And unfortunately, if they come back to that, we'll have to take that into account. Going into January.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
I mean, it's not gonna have to be like, they come in one day and then the next one have an issue.
No, the council can take time.
Increments.
Yeah, this council could decide to take time to watch as billing cycles come in to see what the changes are.
Right.
But it'll give us more to speak to when presenting it to the public as to why. They'll give us findings, and we'll be able to speak to that.
Okay. Comment from Alan, real quick, and comment from collecting.
Years ago, they went to DNR. They did that study rate. We were in the bottom percentile almost for the state. So we decided to increase it every year for 3 years. We did that. Everybody was great. Everybody's happy. The only problem was DNR came back and said, that's fine, but we raised our minimum, so you still don't qualify. So there's a minimum, I remember people talking about grants, that kind of thing. There's minimums for those too, to keep in mind. Just for point of information on that.
You're right, we can't get grants unless we raise those.
Last comment, collector, and then we're going to.
I will ask that with all of these transitional rate increases, that you 100% keep your collector in the loop, because I am the one that takes the ugly one. Let's call it. I'm the one that takes the brunt end of every citizen that is mad. I see at least 500 citizens every month that pay cash for their bill. I understand there are county programs out there. That is something maybe that we should get a little bit more involved in, so that I have some place to send them, and that I'm just not saying, I'm sorry, pay your bill. But if I don't have the information from you, I cannot put it out of my office.
That's a really good suggestion.
And with that being said, the council should consider posting this in the newspaper. There need to be an amendment to further increase the budget, include the cost of doing this, and for how long they want this to run. So,
It's really probably may not be necessary for you to increase the budget to the newspaper, because we have social media that could possibly help us in promoting and advertising and other things. It'll still need to go in the paper, but maybe not more than what you're already doing. But there are other avenues of free advertising for this situation.
great point, and we're going into Facebook next. But before we go into Facebook,
I do think that we need to publish so that the people can anticipate what to expect come January.
I agree.
so the budget would have to be amended for that, and then the direction to put it in the paper.
It'd be nice if that went down paper.
I make a motion to do that.
Keep it down, quick.
And to place publication with the Dixon pilot of the rate increase effective January 1.
For how long?
No, I just think that the last 2 weeks of this month.
Okay. So there's a motion to put the rate increase in the Dixon pilot.
Correct.
And
Publish until the end of the year.
Well,
before the.
just as a general budget comment, there's been a lot of, in my history of coming through the books over several years, trying to figure out where the town's money went. There's been a lot of publications in the Dixon pilot, and I love the paper. I love it. It's a good local business. But there are things That's
Okay?
I think it's a courtesy to the public to let them know to expect that 10% increase. And I don't think the cost is so much just to have a couple of lines to.
It will be published.
So there's a motion and it was seconded, right? So roll call vote.
Diane Schultz,
Yes.
Betty Tildes,
Yes.
Donna Fleming,
Yes.
Brett Swanson,
Yes.
Marlene Blackburn. Yes. Barbara Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Robert, can you got a comment, can you repeat it, please?
I was going to say, it will be published in the regular write-up for the Dixon File, for the council meetings.
So that'll be
It's
good.
something that you're writing down.
Yes.
You know, we need to do that as
You're doing a good job,
courtesy
Curtis.
to the people.
You're right.
You're right.
So, thank you, Robert. And then now moving on to Facebook, you should see in front of you the City of Dixon social media policy. Correct me if I'm wrong, the policy don't take effect until the next,
unless you don't have that ordinance.
unless we adopt by ordinance.
Say that again, one more time.
Policy would only stay in effect for this administration unless we adopt it for ordinance. Now, a social media policy may be something that should be redone every single administration. As technology changes and new things come about, we learn.
Right, I agree.
So here we have a social media policy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I read this social media policy 2 months ago to the council. There were some revisions that were made. It went back and forth with our attorney. The latest revision and the one that held it up the last time was the retention policy. The retention policy you can find on page 3, section 3. And the only other suggestion that our attorney had, he did some of the things that he noted. He removed the paid for comment section. The city's not going to be charging for any of the stuff that's on the page. Okay, the language regarding retentions to make it mandatory and require the clerk to maintain the records in accordance to the sunshine law. The previous language indicated that the moderator or the administrator would, but by statute it falls on the city clerk. Added a sentence indicating that profanity is prohibited. Added language indicating that media records should not be sent through social media. And changed the word delegated to designated in section 2. So those were the repairs, edits that were made by the attorney. Also, he had one further question. And to answer your question, Jeff, the designated staff is covered, page 1, social media policy, in the first set of bullets. Members of the council that have their individual Facebook. So it is limited to council members that have their individual Facebook, the mayor, and the designated staff. So it is limited to how many people are in. Do you want to read your email?
Yes, but perhaps I think my question was more just maybe a comment. You're not so much looking for an answer. I saw what the answer was there.
Okay, I was just making sure that it was all out in the open.
Oh, I
It's
know.
all
I
covered.
personally, for me, if I had drafted the policy, I think it's one too many people with access to post.
The access that each individual has, you have moderator and you have administrator. Moderators do not have as much authority to do anything within the page as the administrator does. They can't change the privacy settings, they can't do the things that are already outlined within the social media policy.
But they can all post.
Yes. But they can post as themselves, not as of the City of Dixon. And that would be a requirement.
That's what I didn't think was clear to me, at least for
It would be maybe a 30-minute training to teach people how to switch it from posting as the City of Dixon as to posting as themselves.
My recommendation was not to have all the council members be able to post as City of Dixon, given the nature of the being council members have no individual authority until they are sitting at
changing the administrative roles of the council members, allowing the mayor and/or the delegated staff to be the ones doing the posting, to where they still had access to the page so that they could read the messages that came in for them. They can be assigned to the individual councilman, and that a little bit more detail. Is that what you're requesting?
He doesn't want the council members to be able to go in as moderators and do whatever posting they want to.
The person behind the curtain.
Person behind the curtain, somewhere there's gonna be a post that comes out on Facebook from City of Dixon.
Right.
Barb is not City of Dixon, Brett's not City of Dixon, I'm just showing it to you guys, because you're the ones in my highlight there.
Right, gotcha.
They are not City of Dixon on their own. When they're not sitting in the city council meeting, they have no authority for the city.
That's right.
So they shouldn't be able to post in the City of Dixon
It
without.
should only be one of
So their roles can be changed. That is a very simple fix.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying they shouldn't have the authority to do that, is what I would try and make clear.
Okay.
But they could respond individually to
Well,
whatever's.
the way that the page is set up currently, no one can post on the page except for the City of Dixon. Okay, so Delene can't go and post on the page that she's mad. The most that she can do is send an instant message. All shut down, all of the profanity
So you're
filters.
making it an informative page?
It is strictly
Okay, so it's not
informative.
gonna be a social page where you can get interaction? It's informative?
No, it's all
So all we
informative.
need is
You can
informative.
post all the minutes, all the agendas, all of the stuff. If the
I think
park is
that's
having a
good.
function, you can put
Right.
that out there. This rate increase could go on there. All of those. School posters, stuff like
Yeah, I
that.
agree with that, because I think that we as council people should be able to go on there and post whatever we want as the City of Dixon, because we are not the City of Dixon.
Yeah, well, that's you guys. I heard somebody misunderstand.
Yeah, it does. And you don't have multiple people trying to post and have redundant items on there, just phrased differently. I think it stops a mess from happening.
I have an idea that just in my head.
Oh.
I know that, correct me if I'm wrong, you probably know a little bit more than I do, that I think we might try, be exploring this is also a means of bringing in revenue by allowing insurance agencies, businesses, local businesses to post on our Facebook page for a fee. I know
Be
this
careful with
happens.
that as a government, that you're not endorsing, but it's something that we could look into.
Well, I didn't look
But
at
have to
that.
look at- Well, just in posting, the government just has to be careful of.
We're letting them advertise on our page, the page should just solely be for informative purposes. Again, we need money, but I don't think we need money out of that,
If you want to bring in money, go, instead of doing a Facebook page, do a professional page. You know, like somebody wants, like you have the local tourist, or if you type in somebody's name on Google it, it's not generally the Facebook page that comes up all the time. Sometimes it's a specific web page, and there you can do advertising and collect money and things like that, in addition to city ordinances and stuff like that.
It's a great idea. The only thing that would be a super fantastic idea is if and when we decide that it is time for us to move into accepting credit cards as payments, a widget could be added to the Facebook to a link to our Square and PayPal that did those.
So at this time, the Facebook page is waiting for this to be approved.
Yes.
So is this something that council wishes to vote on tonight?
Is this
or-
final?
No.
No, because the administrative roles need to be changed so that you guys would have access and be a member of the
Right.
page, but you would have no page roles other than to see the instant messages, so that if John Q. Citizen says, I have a question for Marlene Blackburn, I can say, Marlene, you have a message, you need to respond to it. It all stays there. But I'm not gonna answer your message, I'm not gonna answer anyone's messages. So those messages, instead of me burning a paper copy and trying to find you, it's there, it can be answered. And the retention policy has been added.
Well, how does the council
said, that concludes our agenda. The only last thing is a closed session.
So we're going to make a motion to table it?
You can if you'd like.
I make a motion to table the Facebook page until the revisions are
Okay.
on Friday.
There's a motion to table the Facebook.
I second it.
That's seconded. Roll call vote.
Diane Schultz,
Yes.
Betty Tildes,
Yes.
Donna Fleming, Brett Swanson,
Yes.
Marlene Blackburn,
Yes.
Barbara Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0.
Okay, that being said, we would like to make a motion to go to
Make a
closed
motion
session.
that we go into closed session.
Second.
Second roll call vote.
Diane Schultz.
Yes.
Betty Tildes,
Yes.
Donna Fleming,
Yes.
Brett Swanson,
Yes.
Marlene Blackburn, Barbara Thomas.
Yes.